Hello, and welcome to episode 8 of Wellness Possibilities with Monica Fuss. This evening, we're going to be speaking about stress and the ways that we deal with it, and possible ways that help us to reduce it more than we already have. So when you think about stress, I know there's a lot of stressors in our lives, whether it's work or family, friends, traffic, politics, just being on Facebook, watching TV. There's a million ways we can get stressed, isn't there? Well, I know I have a lot of stressors in my life, so I try to avoid as many as possible, as much as possible. But when I can't, well, how do you deal with your stress? Do you like binge watch on TV or movies, or maybe just grabbing your favorite comfort food? And a lot of those foods, they have high carbs, high sugar, not necessarily give us the best results, even though it gives us that momentary, this feels and tastes good to my mouth. Or do you reach for maybe a glass of wine, some other alcoholic beverage? Maybe you rant at everyone that you see comes along, everyone in your family or whoever. These are all kind of coping mechanisms that a lot of people use, but in most cases, they have negative consequences. So what if there were some other tools to add to your toolbox with positive benefits? And I'm sure you're already doing some of these, but I'm going to list a few, and this is by no means an exhaustive list, but I'm going to list a few of them. And if there's some that you haven't tried yet, then maybe you want to jot down a note and consider maybe adding these to your arsenal of ways of dealing with stress and cutting it down to size. Okay, let's start out with regular sleep. And I'm not talking about, God, I sleep, 47 hours a night. Of course, I'm exaggerating, but research shows that a regular sleep pattern, where you have a regular time to get up and a regular time that you go to bed, vary it some, but not very much, but make sure you get at least 7 hours and 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night. Another option is maybe if you have a diffuser, or you can maybe even use water on the stove in a saucepan. You can add some water to that and just a few drops of essential oil. Lavender oil is a really nice one, and I know there's different essential oil companies out there, and they have different blends of oils that are good. I've found a couple of those that I like. Maybe reading, instead of turning on the TV or grabbing your phone and start scrolling. What if you just find a book that has a positive influence or relaxing influence. Maybe it's some information you've been meaning to study and you hadn't done it. You're probably not a study person like I am. But anyway, find an enjoyable book to just sit down and read a few pages. You don't have to read the whole book. Just read a few pages. Get your mind off of what you were thinking about and onto something else. How about affirmations? I know you've probably heard that before. It's like, oh yeah, affirmations. It's like la 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 la. I've tried affirmations myself, and it worked really good for a day or two, maybe even a couple of weeks, but then it kind of wore off and became like, what is that Peanuts cartoon where the teacher's talking to Charlie and all he hears is wah, 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 wah. Okay, but there's another way of doing this, is if you sit down and write it out and say it as you're repeating it aloud. So you're covering all three ways that we learn. You're getting with the kinesthetic with your writing, and you're also being able to, by moving your hand in a positive way and writing your affirmations, that's positive energy you're putting out there. Also hearing yourself say it out loud, and as well as seeing the words. So that's the three ways we learn, is seeing, hearing, and with the movement, with kinesthetic. And so you're getting all three at once with your affirmations, and it has a better chance of having a positive impact on you. Speaking of positive impact, what about taking a walk? Even in the wintertime, sometimes, if you live in a season or in a climate where there's snow and ice and stuff, bundling up might be worth going outside and just breathing in the the cold air and filling your lungs with that refreshing air, even just for a little while, even for maybe 10 minutes. I mean, it doesn't have to be a long walk, just to get yourself out of the situation of where you are now and get you into a new situation. We live close, an hour and a half from the beach, and as often as possible, if the weather permits. I love driving. I don't love the drive, but I love being at the beach and just absorb the sound of the ocean, feeling and hearing the wind blowing in my ears and blowing my hair, and just smelling the salt water, hearing the birds flying overhead. I mean, it's very relaxing to me, and to watch the waves go in and out, just that regular rhythm or semi-regular rhythm, and watching the waves curl and come into shore. That's very relaxing to me. Every person has a different place. Maybe it's going to the park and just watching other people interact. Or maybe there's like our park, it has a pond in the middle of it and a big fountain of water. And I like walking around that pond. There's a lot of really big trees around, and the trees have a during the summertime, where I have all the leaves on them, have a way of calming me. It's like they provide a soft sound absorption, and it's good for my soul to be around the trees. But even in the wintertime, when the trees are bare, just being around the trees, a small gathering, or I want to call it a small forest of trees, can provide a comforting effect, kind of like a big hug, an invisible big hug, where they're just like looming over you and providing, it's like, hey, I've got you. You're going to be okay. All right. Another option to consider putting on your list for next time that you have a stressful situation, maybe just take a break and go take a bath by candlelight. And maybe even turn on some soft music, or better yet, just no music, but whichever you prefer. But so warm your body and allow it to relax. Maybe if you have some essential oils, you can put a few drops in your water to also help your body absorb that calming effect. Another thing is just sit and look at the water. Like when I was telling you, when I go to the beach, I like to look at the water. I like to just sit and watch it. Sometimes I like to walk it and feel the sand beneath my feet, but other times I like to just sit and watch the water. Even at the park, watching the pond. Or when there wasn't a pond, there was a place where there was maybe a little stream or river that I could watch the water. That was very calming. Even going to the bridge around over my house, where there's a little drainage ditch, if you will, and sometimes there's a little trickle of water, and I like just sitting there and standing there at the bridge and check out what kind of little critters are moving around. Just feel and absorb the peacefulness of that moment. Another technique is to just, if you can't get out of your house, is look out the window and look out a different window and look in a different direction than you normally look. Do you have a bird feeder, a big bird bath? Do you have deer in the area where you live? Maybe that's something that you could take a look at and just watch, not necessarily watch the grass grow, but just watch the peacefulness of life, the breath of the air. That doesn't make sense, does it? Just pay attention to your breathing as you watch out the window. That's what I wanted to say, yes. And then another one I wanted to share with you, there's two more that I would like to share with you. And one is maybe have a drink of herbal tea. Rather than a caffeinated drink, try an herbal tea, either hot or cold, whichever your preference. Personally, I prefer hot. In fact, right now, I've got an herbal tea in my little thermal cup. And it's actually one of my products from Arbonne. It's called an Inner Calm De-Stress Powder. And it has some ashwagandha and saffron in it that are the big ingredients for calming herbs, but there's other herbal teas on the marketplace. A chamomile tea is a good one. Even lemon or ginger tea, especially if your stomach gets upset when you are stressed out. You know, a peppermint tea is good, or a ginger tea. And then one that I would like, a different technique I would like to just introduce you to if you haven't been introduced before, and that's called tapping. And I'm not an expert at tapping, but I've tried it a couple of times, and it's worked well for me when I remember to use it. And also, just I'll give you a simplified version of it, because I'm not a coach in tapping, but I can share with you a few, just a simplified technique to help with that. And the first thing to do is to pay attention to your stress level. I would say give it a rating. Give it a score from 1 to 10, or even 0 to 10. We know if you're stressed out, it's not going to be 0, right? So just how big a number is it? Is it 8, 9, a 10? Just how, 10 would be the tops of something most horrible, not just for a moment long, but a really long, really hard thing that's going on. You're really super stressed out. That there'll be a 10. Maybe it's not quite as stressful, but man, you're really close. There's a 9. So give your stress a number before you do this technique. And in this tapping technique, it has kind of a neural, a way to impact the neural system with physical and also audio, because you'll be talking while you do this. And the physical thing that you will do is you'll take 3 fingers, and like you were going to do a karate chop on somebody, this part of your hand where you're going to karate chop somebody, but you're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to tap with these 3 fingers on that stress point right there. We're going to tap lightly. We don't have to break fingers or anything. Just tap a few times while you're talking. And then after a few times, then you'll want to use those 3 fingers, and you're going to tap on the top part of your head in the middle. And you're going to continue talking, and I'm going to tell you what to say here in just a second. And then the third place you're going to tap is on your heart with those 3 fingers. So I'll try not to tap my microphone. So anyway, so now you want to know what you're going to be saying while you do this tapping. And what it is you're going to be acknowledging the stress that you have. You're going to say what it is and how you're feeling about it. And at the end of it, you're kind of going to give yourself an affirmation that you're going to be okay no matter what's going on. And you do this several times. You do it one time after the other. You keep going in a cycle of just keep doing it, rotating those 3 places that I showed you to tap. And let's just do, and you're going to, I was going to tell you how long to do it. You're going to do that for 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, until you're starting to feel better. And then stop and give yourself a rating again. What's your, pay attention. What's your stress level now? Has your stress level reduced? More than likely it has. How much has it reduced? And when you get it down to at least a 2 level or lower, then you can stop. But usually you can do that within, the more you do it, you will have planted that seed in your mind as like, oh yeah, I'm doing tapping now, and this is something that comforts me, and it'll happen faster and faster more often you do it. But here's what you're going to say is, let's think of a stressful situation. And we're going to start with our karate chop with the 3 fingers here. So you're going to start out with the words, although I feel, and you're going to fill in the blank of what you're feeling and maybe what's caused this feeling. And then you're going to tell yourself the affirmation, I love and accept myself as I am. You ready? Okay, we're going to make up one as we go here. Okay, so I'm doing my karate chop. Although I feel stressed out over doing this tapping demonstration, I'm keeping going anyway and allowing myself to demonstrate it. And I love and accept myself as I am. And then keep going. Although I feel stressed over doing a demonstration of a technique that I'm not an expert on, I'm continuing and to acknowledge the feelings that I have, and I will demonstrate it anyway, and I'm sure people are going to learn from it. I love and accept myself as I am. And you would keep doing that over and over and over. You don't have to say, the feeling words don't have to be the exact same every time, but the very beginning and the very end need to be the same. Although I feel, and then whatever it is you want to put in the blank, and at the very end, I love and accept myself as I am. And that's the technique that I'm sharing with you today. And I hope that is, if you've never heard of it before, it's like, well, you at least give it some consideration, give it a try. And even if you're not feeling stressed out right now, give it a try. Just practice putting those words in there. Okay, so thank you so much for being here today. If Wellness Possibilities with Monica Fuss is something that you find interesting or you like this episode, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel and share this with your friends. If you have a friend that's feeling pretty stressed out right now, maybe they need to increase their list of tools for dealing with stress and how to reduce it. Maybe they would love to hear this. So again, share my channel with them, and I look forward to seeing you next time with Wellness Possibilities with Monica Fuss. Thank you for being here.